Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl News. My name is Brian, and Donald Trump literally walks into an ambush and comes out smelling like a rose. This might be one of his best moments, if not the best, in his entire political career. Let's dive in.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was
Mr. President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer
very
the question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I
believe
have
that
answered
black
the
voters should
question.
trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then.
Oh man, what a clip. What an amazing moment. And like I said, this might be Donald Trump's best moment of his entire political career. First off, he's not wrong. He might just be the best, he might be the most pro-black president since Abraham Lincoln. His economic opportunity zones were a masterstroke, and we'll get back to them later. And he helped out HBCUs when they were in dire need of extra assistance. And these journalists over here, this is a specifically black journalist event, and they're out here trying to drag Donald Trump through the mud. Man, I don't know how I would control myself in that situation. That's why he's sitting in the chair and I'm not. And furthermore, he's there sitting down. He's not at a podium. He's not able to emphatically use any of his other limbs to help make a point. He is sitting there, hands on his legs, just being earnest and honest and just looking right at the problem and calling them out for being absolutely ridiculous. And really, it's just this one reporter, and you can hear the roar of the crowd. This is not a crowd that's going, no, we don't like you, Trump. They're aghast that Donald Trump is being treated in this light, and he delivers some amazing zingers in this. So yeah, like I said, this is probably Donald Trump's best clip of his entire political career. And furthermore, let's actually start looking at some of the problems. For instance, let's start off with the economic opportunity zones. And according to Forbes, when the economic opportunity zones came out, basically what this is a federal designation that this area is a distressed area economically, and it's open for some extra business. Basically, we're going to lower your tax rate if you invest in this area. What happened? With this finding in magnitude, we can be confident that the change in behavior was enormous. A 20% jump in likelihood of development in a community as a result of the Opportunity Zone designation. And that's not even looking at the communities that actually saw the investment. The designation itself had that effect. And basically, numbers that they have never seen before just skyrocketed. The areas that were considered opportunity zones just saw a massive jump in investment and development. This is just fantastic for pretty much everyone in this situation because developers are now have more incentive to work in these zones. That's more jobs for local communities, and let's be honest, it's okay to say that the black community has needed a helping hand. And furthermore, this was a bipartisan idea, at least at its onset. Cory Booker and Tim Scott were working on this project. Funny thing is, they can actually get along up there in DC, but I'm shocked that it took this long for this idea to be put forward. And furthermore, this was all part of Paul Ryan's tax cuts plans. I know Paul Ryan is persona non grata, but for the same reason, I still like him and Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell gave us the Supreme Court and basically protected it against the liberal encroachment that has threatened to destroy the Constitution. And furthermore, Paul Ryan authored the Trump tax cuts. So I love getting credit where credit is due. So you can go back to not liking Paul Ryan. I don't entirely blame you, but this was a big part of his plan. And so Donald Trump was able to take that idea, push it forward, and guess what? In the 2024 election, black turnout came out for Trump in numbers that were just unprecedented. Okay? Instead, the Democrats, also in this, not pictured in this clip, apparently Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, one of the two was invited and they just refused to show up. So, of course, neither of them could stand a moment in the ring with Donald Trump. I mean, we saw what happened with the first debate against Joe Biden. He didn't just get shellacked. He couldn't even finish a sentence. The man couldn't get to the bottom of an ice cream cone at that point. Man, we really need to ask forgiveness for ever electing Joe Biden. Because that man needs to be enjoying his afternoons with his grandchildren, all of them, and eating ice cream to his heart's content and not be in the White House. Fortunately, Kamala Harris didn't win either because black voters do not like her. Okay? They're starting to come around with the idea of Donald Trump, who's been constantly persecuted by an actual governing system and was basically used to try to put him in jail. They tried and they failed. And so no wonder black voters aren't liking Democrats anymore. They're starting to realize that, hey, who wrote the crime bill in the 90s? Oh, yeah, that was Joe Biden. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, this is Ollie the elephant. He is a Republican. He loves Trump, and he recognizes the fact that Donald Trump did more to help the black community than any president since Abraham Lincoln. I think that is the historical truth. Again, you can make an argument for LBJ, but never look up what he had to say about African Americans. So ultimately, Donald Trump did a fantastic job as president the first go-round, and he's looking like he's going to be even better in the second go-round. And all it took, apparently, was for him to dunk on this terrible journalist who wasn't being rude, but let's be honest, it took them forever to load up the setup because they weren't getting anything right with their equipment. They start out of the gate with a literal ambush-style question, and she keeps on needling Trump during the entire exchange. Man, and the way he was able to handle it was absolutely textbook, okay? This is how you handle bad press. This is how you handle yourself when you are in the middle of a literal ambush. And I don't think there are too many American conservatives that could come out of a situation like this. But Donald Trump does this on the regular, and that's why we love him so stinking much. That and, the great policies like economic opportunity zones. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl News. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.